Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkey with Startup Trading. It is 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. So, looking back at the previous session, what we had was basically an inside day for everything except for the NASDAQ, which was a little bit bullish, right? So, I had some additional zones I was watching both for the NASDAQ and the ES yesterday, these gold lines running through here. So you can see after the bell rang for the NASDAQ in the morning, right, it come down. It actually tagged that lower level to the tick. Come back up, went higher. Come back down again. Went in by a few ticks on the second level and then just shot up and just consolidated there for, several hours. If we look at the ES, right, bell opened, it comes down, basically hits value area low. Goes back up, hits that top of that 29.55, comes back down, hits the bottom end of that range, bounces, back and forth basically for several hours, and then at 2:45, 3 o'clock Eastern time, all of the indexes, kind of had that liquidation break, right? So they come down, they take out basically every long, right? You're at session lows, so obviously you're at bell-to-bell lows. You're taking out the previous day's lows on everything except for the NASDAQ. So you're sucking a lot of people in short at that point in time, and you're just bailing out a bunch of longs. So what happens is we get not an underwater close, but we get underwater trades that go off on all four of the indexes. So we'll get into that in just a second. So looking at the action so far overnight, our typical 50 points, 48.75 points. And if you look at what happened, this is a range. I moved this down. This was at 55 yesterday. I moved it down to 52 quarter today. But as you look at it, where we're chopping back and forth, you can see a lot of time, effort, energy has been spent in this zone. We had that liquidation break. Again, we had those underwater trades go off. Not an underwater close, but underwater trades, something I key off of all the time. And as we come back up, at once the session opens up, right, we dip back down, we go down, to 28.0 or 29.08 half, come back up, screw around. Once we get back above this water, right, we check the bottom of the water, we come back up, we hit the that bottom of the zone, which is basically at 29.39. I've got it marked off at 38.75. And then as we come back down, right, we hit it, we reject off of it, basically hit it, reject off of it. But now we're stuck in value area low. And I was chatting with some members in the room last night. I said, once you get into the value area, you can't fight the up move anymore. You've just got to succumb to it and wait at least until it falls back out if you want to, take a stab at it. So I shared in them this grid and the 4 index grid last night to keep them out of trouble overnight. So as we come up, right, now we've hit the top of this band, right, and this blue dotted line, this blue dash line is a euro close from yesterday. So this is where the euro traders were when they left the market yesterday. So basically all we are is back up to the top end of this range that we were watching yesterday, and we're to the point where the euro traders have had an opportunity to get their money back, right, if they left long yesterday. And anyone who left short is just like, I hope they took some money in there. But basically, if at 2:30 you went away and you're coming into the market this morning, right, and the bell opens somewhere around where we're at, basically it looks like nothing has happened, right? So this is just a quick flush down, and it'll be a quick recovery back up, right? Especially if we look at just the bell-to-bell stuff. So the bell hasn't even rung this morning, obviously, but you can see, 2:30, we're, up here, 2:45, and you come back across, and we're likely to open, somewhere between 48.5 and 58.5 is we're likely to open up in that range. So looking at all 4 of the indexes and where we are now overnight, you can see, there's the water. We had lower lows, these green dotted lines are the overnight lows. We've come back up. The purple line's the settlement. You cross that line, your charts turn green. You're positive for the day. You're on it. You're gray. You're below. You're red. So as you, that's just a marker for where the zero line is for each of the indexes for the day on the futures. So as we come across here, this red solid line is the value area high. And you can see the Russell is just sitting here between yesterday's bell open, which is this blue solid line, the euro close and value area high. If we look at the NASDAQ, it's doing better because it is the better long, right? It's been the better long for 3 years now. So as we look here, it's between value area high and the previous day's high. So is the ES now. And the Dow is just like the Russell. It's sitting here just at the bottom of the range. And you can see how close the bell open was for yesterday and the euro close for it. And you're just very close to those levels and the points of control. These yellow dashed lines are where the most amount of trading volume went off yesterday. So we're very close to that on all these indexes. So as we look at the overnight sequencing, right, we can see as we're coming up out of those lows overnight, we get this halfway back long that sticks at 29.25 basically, come back up, and it hits the first target, which is up at 49, and then the next target up, if we don't get a retracement back to at least 38.75. But if you look at what that 38.75 was, that's the top of this marker, right? It's this 38.2 right now. So you just would be going back to the bottom of the range that we bounced back and forth with yesterday if that trades. So below that, we got 29.33 and the line in the sand 29.27 for the overnight action. So the next level up without a major retracement is basically 61.5, and then if we get above there, we could basically see 74 quarter to 74 half, which is right around yesterday's overnight highs. If we look at the NASDAQ, same thing, right? It hits this halfway back long, it holds it, right? Once we get up to 29.25, we're going to be in an extension sequence from this overnight session on a micro draw, which is going to be basically 96 or 93.56 quarter to half. You can zoom in and get your level, but whatever this high is here, basically at 22 minutes after midnight Eastern time to high, once we get up here and clear over 94.25. Looking at the and what would make it go lower, we can also look at that. So the line in the sand for that is still all the way down here at 93.2575. So looking at the Russell, it's even a little stronger, believe it or not, right? It's holding a 38.2 overnight, and it's just completed the first target as well. So if it retraces, it's going to come back to 13.2060, and then the line in the sand is 13.1180 with the halfway back long now at 13.1620. Looking at the ES and what's happened, right? We got these dotted lines, which are a little bit weaker support and resistance zones. They could have reactions, they could be in play, but they're just levels of interest more than they are, firm support resistance lines. So the way I mark this off, these gold or burnt orange, whatever color you want to call it, these darker solid lines, right, are more important levels. The blue dash lines are a little bit less important, but still fairly good. And the dotted lines are, you should be aware of where they are, but don't expect a lot out of them. But if you're trying to look at where you can take off profits, they're good levels to have on the chart. So what did we do overnight? We almost come down to this 29.06 quarter in the overnight session. We missed it. We come down to that 8.5 as we mentioned earlier. Now we've got up to this 29.39, and really there's not much resistance on the chart for me until you get up to at least 29.82 for the ES. So we'll see what happens. And again, we could easily trade 29.39 for an entry today, and we'll see what happens once that's traded, if it does indeed hit today. Looking at the NASDAQ in the same way, right? So the NASDAQ is always a little bit more technical with the level. So Basically at 94.09 is where we stalled out yesterday. That's where we're hitting today. I have another level at 94.52 basically. And then I don't have anything above there until 95.63. So we'll see if we get above, but you could get trapped in this next range above and below before you break out. And notice that there's a transition, a change in distributions, basically at 94.89. So keep that in mind. We'll go ahead and mark that off just so we make sure we stay aware of it. Okay, looking at the rut. So the rut come down, lost the 1304 halves for a moment, come down, tagged the 1297s, right? And it's still sitting up here around where all these tops are. Like I said, the next minor resistance I have is 1353.60 and then 1377.30. We get a break below these lows, and 1384.30 is probably about as low as we could go today. Possibly even 1277.7, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that. Looking at the Dow, notice that this time, right, this marker down here, this box between basically 23,904 to 23,967, we've been screwing with this for 5 weeks now, this zone. So it looks like we're finally solidly above it because we finally had a pullback, right, that didn't come near that distribution. We lost that 24,171 minor, right, broke into it. So we're still struggling with this 24,555 above. You can see we peaked above it, fell below, peaked above it, fell below. But look at all the bodies of the bars that are just, pressing on that with nothing, good resistance line. So with as much consolidation as we've had, a top, almost top, hitting it, riding it, there really is no resistance for me on this until we get up to 25,750. So we'll see if we start, making our way back and forth in this distribution next, if we can break out above these highs. So looking back at all the indexes, kind of giving some thoughts on it. So what I really want to watch today is I want to watch the bottom of this distribution. Getting bars below it is going to be, impressive. And it would be mainly from the fact that the Euro traders were able to get their money back, and we're just status quo, right? We're right back to where we were at 2:30 yesterday afternoon, and really we had a shake and bake move down, right? Shake out the longs, bake in some shorts, start screwing them. So we're just sitting here at status quo at the time. So what we really need to see, right? This is the Bulls' day to lose, and if you've never heard me say that, what that means is that they could come up and they should be able to press this up. Now they should have sucked in enough people short that they should be able to drive this higher today and at least hit R2 and maybe start making some progress above it. I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. By the way, if you do like this technical analysis, give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe to the channel.